Ja, jag är på plats i en av vallokalerna här i Milwaukee och jag är tillsammans med Jason Carroll, en av CNNs korrespondenter. Så jag tänkte vi ska kolla vad han tror om vad som kommer hända här under kvällen. So let's start talking about the Republican side for a moment. How much would you say this is a must-win state for Ted Cruz tonight?
Well, it really is, because if Cruz can win here, he can continue to build on the momentum that he very much needs before heading into important states like New York, states like Pennsylvania, throughout the Northeast. And it really shows, it would show what he's been saying all along, that he really is the only other candidate who can stop Trump.
Right. And talking about Trump, he had a tough week.
He had a terrible week. He had an awful week. I mean, look, they can say what they want, and the Trump campaign will tell you they've had worse weeks. I certainly can't think of a worse week that he has had. Look, there was the flip-flop on the issue of abortion. He was unable to articulate his position on that. He had the president calling him out on an international stage during the nuclear summit. He had the issue with his campaign manager putting his hands on a young woman reporter. This is not the kind of week you want to have when you want to convince voters that you're the one who is presidential.
Do you think he's worried, or should he be worried?
Should he be worried? Very good question. I mean, look, the reality is, even if he loses here in the state of Wisconsin, he is up in the polls in New York. He is up in the polls in Pennsylvania. He's up in the polls in Connecticut. He knows that Trump would still have an uphill battle in front of him.
And what about John Kasich? They both Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, they asked him to pull out, and Trump called him stubborn yesterday because he's not giving up. Is he stubborn, or does he still have a chance?
I think there are a number of people, his critics, Kasich's critics, who think he is being stubborn, feel as though he's being some sort of a spoiler. You can certainly understand where Donald Trump is coming from, where he says, look, they're taking, someone like Kasich is taking votes away from me. But there's also research and polls to suggest that even if Kasich were to get out, those votes wouldn't necessarily go to Trump. They may, in fact, go to Cruz. So in the end, it really just depends upon which sort of person you're standing for, which candidate you're trying to support.
So why is it so important for Donald Trump then that Kasich gives up?
Because, not to put words in his mouth, who would do that with Donald Trump? But based on what he has said, based on what Trump has said, it is his feeling that if Kasich were to get out, let's look at the state of Wisconsin, for example.
Right.
Perhaps if Kasich were not in the equation, in Trump's eyes, he would have a clear win here.
Right. So let's jump to the Democratic side then
Let's jump.
Let's do it. Bernie Sanders is leading here, and if he wins tonight, like what it actually looks like now, it's going to be his 6th win out of the 7 latest states. What's going on here?
Well, what it does is, if Bernie Sanders can pull out a win here, and certainly there are a number of polls that suggest that he does have a slight lead over Hillary Clinton, if he does that, he continues to build on the momentum, continues to build that narrative that this candidate, Hillary Clinton, is vulnerable. And what it does is it gives him that much needed momentum going into her home state, her adopted home state of New York.
And they finally agreed on a date for a debate before before the election in New York. What do you is Bernie Sanders, does he still have a chance? I mean, looking at the delegates, Hillary Clinton is still so way ahead of him.
I think there is an argument that the numbers simply do not add up for him. But even having said that, having Bernie Sanders in the race, there's also an argument that he has invigorated this race, that he has pushed Clinton to address a number of issues that, from those people who support Sanders, say likely would never have been on the table.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome.